Hello, friends. My name is Cindy Bennett, and I am a New Hampshire state representative. And on this channel, I provide information about New Hampshire and things that I'm doing in the state. And I'm just kind of making some introductory videos because I want to share with my friends the things that I've been doing at the State House. Maybe it's interesting to you. Maybe you want to participate sometime, or maybe you just want to know what's going on. Maybe you want to hear a little bit about me. So today we're going to talk about something interesting. I am on a committee in the State House. Now, when you get voted in as a state representative in New Hampshire, there are 400 state representatives, and we have a small state. When I go to other parts of the country, people don't even know where New Hampshire is. It's just a tiny little state. But I'll tell you, a lot goes on here. And in New Hampshire, we have 400 state representatives, and I love it here. And I think it's really great that we have people who really represent the constituents. They really know the people in our state. And I represent my town of Raymond, New Hampshire. And I would just like to show you, first of all, I am on a committee that is in New Hampshire. And sometimes I forget how to even say the name of it. It is the state committee. This right here is a House resolution. I'm going to talk about that today. It is honoring Tadeusz Kościuszko. And each bill, this is called HR 24. This is called a House resolution. The committee is called the State Federal Relations and Veterans Affairs. Okay, so that's the name of my committee. And so we will talk about things that are related to anything with the state, some things that are federal, and how we have the relations and the Veterans Affairs. So we get some interesting bills that are not just related to veterans. Sometimes I call it the Veterans Committee, but we do more than that. And some of our bills are not, or resolutions or discussions are not necessarily, partisan. They're not necessarily, this is sort of debatable. Should we rename? This bill is about honoring this person, and the actual analysis is this resolution urges the New Hampshire congressional delegation to sponsor legislation to rename Little Haystack Mountain as Mount Kościuszko. I think that's how you say it. So that's what it is. So I just wanted to share this with you. I wanted to talk a little bit about, if you go to newhampshire.gov, you will find the information about all the bills. You can go to nh.gov and you can click on legislature. You can click on a place where you can find the actual bill number if you know that. You can find the different committees. You can also find, the names of all the people that are on those committees. And you can also find like the list of bills that committee has discussed, because we're really done right now for the year, and we will have new bills put in next year. So you can find a lot of information. I might do a video about the website and just going around the website and things that you can find. But today I just kind of wanted to talk about this House resolution, and I'm actually going to show you a little video about that is on YouTube. So also all of the discussion that we have on these things are in on YouTube. So what I did to find this part of the video was to go to the committee, go to the list of bills, find the bill, and figure out the date that it was discussed. And then I went back to the video, and I'm going to show you that video, and the person is going to introduce the House resolution, and then they're going to talk about it a little bit. And then there's another man who talks about the support. He wants to give support to the House resolution. He thinks it's a great idea. He talks about the mountains, and I asked him a couple questions during this time as well. So I just thought it was a very interesting discussion, and I thought it was something I could share. Not everything is politically charged, so to speak. It's really fun to discuss this. And you think about it. Do you really want to change the name of a mountain? This mountain is called Little Haystack. Everybody knows it's Little Haystack. Should we change the name of it? It is a little bit of a debate. At this time, we are going to watch the video that will be the committee meeting about the resolution to rename Little Haystack, which is a mountain in New Hampshire.
11:30, and at this time, I'm going to open the hearing on our final measure this morning, and that is HR 24. That is a resolution. I happen to be the prime sponsor, so I'm going to turn the gavel over again to our Vice Chair, Representative Rollins. And I'll introduce this momentarily. It's HR 24, a resolution to honor Tadeusz Kosciuszko.
Opening this hearing on HR 24, prime sponsor, Representative Moffett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, yes, my name is Mike Moffett, Representative Mike Moffett, Merrimack District 4, the two towns of Canterbury and Loudoun. So this is a resolution, and it's a reprise of something that we had in the mix a couple terms ago. At that time, it was a bill. It was a bill that went to Public Works, and the purpose of the bill was to rename a mountain in the White Mountains, Haystack Mountain, Little Haystack or Haystack Mountain, rename it Mount Kosciuszko. And Tadeusz Kosciuszko was a very important historical figure. General Michaelides actually was talking to me about it earlier this morning. He was from Poland, and he came to America during the Revolution, and he was an engineer, and he became a general in the Continental Army, and did wondrous work as an engineer for General Washington in the Revolutionary War. In fact, he had a lot to do with the founding of West Point. Fortifications at West Point later became the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, as the general knows. So individuals going to follow me later in a few moments will explain the impetus behind this. I believe he's a hiker. Now, Haystack or Little Haystack Mountain is on the Franconia Ridge Trail. Representative Manahar shaking his head. You've been up there. It is a rough climb, but it's listed as one of the 10 most best hiking trails in America. It's an amazing. You can do it however you want to do it. There's a loop, and the trail. I won't describe the different trails up and down, but on the top of Franconia Ridge, it's an amazing views, north, south, and east and west. Now, the highest peak up on the ridge there is Mount Lafayette. And Mount Lafayette is named after Lafayette, who we just celebrated the 200th anniversary of his visit to Concord. He actually, the Marquis de Lafayette, Revolutionary War general from France, spoke in our Reps Hall, the very Reps Hall that we work in. I think that's a wonderful history. And we just celebrated the 200th anniversary of his visit. So the thinking that I agree with is that we honor a European patriot who came at great risk to America from France to help us win our independence, and that was the Marquis General Lafayette. And Tadeusz Kosciuszko did a similar thing from Poland, and just crossing the ocean in those days, Representative Gagnier, a Navy guy, was perilous in itself. So many ships didn't make it. So just the fact that these guys came here from Europe to help us win our independence. So we put in a bill a couple of years ago, went to Public Works, and believe it or not, it's not easy to name a mountain. And one of the reasons it's not easy is because it's in the national forest. It's on federal land. So what we got out of the bill attempt that was ITL by Public Works is that we need to work through the federal delegation. So this resolution, if it moves forward, I hope it does. I really do. If it moves forward, then and passes the House, then that can go with the help of the governor's office, or the help maybe of folks on the blue team, to our federal delegation, and then they can help us on the federal side to jump through all the hoops that are necessary to allow us in New Hampshire, if we so desire, to change the name of Haystack to Kosciuszko. A lot of you, Stan, security guard, is from Poland. I talked to him on the way in. I invited to come and testify, and he declined. He didn't want to, which I understand. The staff doesn't want to testify, but I could tell that he really appreciated that we're thinking about Poland. So anyway, I'll stop there. I know there's at least one person who's going to follow me to speak to this, but I do hope that this committee will think about honoring General Kosciuszko's contributions to our independence by renaming Haystack Mountain. And it's not like we're taking somebody's name off of a mountain. We're not changing Lafayette to Kosciuszko. Haystack, I think we can do better. I'll take any questions if there are any.
Nope. Okay, Representative Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for introducing us. I just want to say, this is probably the proper thing to do. It's better to name it after someone instead of just calling it Haystack. But I think we could come up with a list. I think he's already honored in many other states for a lot of good reasons, and perhaps maybe we can come up with a list of. There's been bridges named after him and so on in other places.
Yeah, thank you for that, Representative. I'm trying to follow your thread. Are you thinking that we could, when you say a list of other candidates to
I
have?
just think it would be supportive if we show that other states are honoring this person.
And we haven't, yeah.
Okay, yes, is a way to raise awareness about that other states. Yes, I agree. Kosciuszko is not an easy name to say. A lot of names from that part of the world are harder to say than Gagne or Rollins or whatever. But we could call it. I'm sure the hikers would call it Mount K. I don't know. Thank you for that.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I do not have a pink card for those that want to. Do you have it with you? Have it made out?
Yes.
Could you bring that down to me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
I will say that those
Where's- oh,
chairs
yeah,
are
there's right
very
here. So is it
comfortable,
Zach? How do
and
you-
you should be able to see me
Zach.
there
Fraser.
at the top
Okay, thank you.
to the right a little bit.
Give me just a second so I don't forget it.
It's kind of hard to see in the.
Okay, now calling Zach Grazier to testify. He's asked for 10 minutes.
All right. Let me see here. I think Representative Moffett did a good introduction sort of about the where it's located in Franconia Notch and how popular of a hike it is. In mid-season, it sees 1,000 hikers a day, 40,000 hikers a year. And National Geographic ranked it one of the top 20 hikes in the world. And my main thing for this really is just the similarities between Kosciuszko and Lafayette. The fact that they're similar figures, they have similar views, similar life stories. They actually were friends. They met during the revolution, and then they became closer friends in Paris after the American Revolution was over. They both, as Representative Moffett said, came over from their respective countries to help America in our fight for freedom. The other thing is that they both befriended leading founding fathers of the country. Lafayette became very good friends with George Washington. Kosciuszko became very good friends with Thomas Jefferson. The other thing, they were both had very strong anti-slavery views, which was very far ahead of their time for back then. And then after the American Revolution, they both went back to their home countries to fight for their own country's freedom as well. So they had very similar sort of life stories and histories. As I said, both of them were just very much appalled by the slavery that they witnessed here in America. Lafayette, for his entire life, pleaded with George Washington to do away with it, to get rid of his slaves. Kosciuszko, for his life, pleaded with his very good friend Thomas Jefferson to get rid of his slaves. It was very important for both of them to see freedom for all people in the country that they risked their lives for. They thought that they were coming here to fight for this country that was sort of the land of the free. So they thought it was just very wrong to come to this country and see that type of stuff was going on. So it was incredibly important to both of them, really. So that they were very similar in that way. And the fact that it was kind of a lifelong dream of both of theirs to see freedom for all people. And I just think that it's almost coincidental or ironic that in between these two mountains, like when you look at the map, in between these two mountains is Mountain Lincoln, obviously after Abraham Lincoln, the guy who officially freed the slaves. So it's just kind of a weird, they're all in a line together. It's like it's set up for it to be that way. And then the mountain on the other side of those three is called Mount Liberty. And Thomas Jefferson described Kosciuszko as the purest son of liberty that he's ever known. So I just feel like that was really my whole beginning in this, that I really feel like Kosciuszko fits perfectly with those three surrounding mountains. I feel like it's like a perfect fit. It's not just a one random mountain off. The reason that I sort of came up with the idea is that it just really seems that it fits perfectly with all three of those other mountains in the state here. Kosciuszko sort of had some New Hampshire connections in that he was huge in the Saratoga campaign of the Revolutionary War, which was the fighting that happened between Lake Champlain and Saratoga on the Hudson River. Many New Hampshire regiments and militias also fought in those battles that were going on, of course, including the New Hampshire native John Stark with his defense of Bennington, Vermont. Saratoga has been called the turning point of the Revolutionary War because when Burgoyne surrendered at Saratoga, France saw that, oh, wow, America has a chance at possibly winning this war. So then they decided to come into the war on our side. And with their navy, it sort of was a huge turning point. It really gave the advantage for us to win the Revolutionary War. So yes, there's sort of those connections. Kosciuszko fighting with the whole Saratoga thing Kosciuszko was huge. Obviously, there were a lot of people that were big, but Kosciuszko, John Stark, it was a lot of New Hampshire militias and regiments. Also, as Representative Moffett mentioned, the fact that we're not removing a person's name, I think should make, I know that there was recently, a few years ago, someone was trying to take Mount Washington away. They're trying to do away with Mount Washington. You're just removing an inanimate object. It's Little Haystack. I just feel like it's sort of a weak name for a mountain that's amongst those other great names of Lafayette and Lincoln and Liberty. It just sort of doesn't seem to fit in there. The arguments that we've heard you can't deny that it's a tough name. It's a tough name to pronounce and spell. I'm Polish myself, and I can hardly pronounce it. But I just think that in regards to that argument, in a state with names like Pemigewasset, Winnipesaukee, Kangamangas, Moosilauke, and many others, it's tough to mention that as it's a tough name to spell. We have it's tough. There's a lot of tough names, and I just think it's crazy to sort of say that you're against it just because of a name. I don't know. It's kind of unbelievable to say that. Kosciuszko also later in his life, he felt so strongly about the slavery thing that later in his life he actually wrote a will. He knew he had gotten injured fighting when he was back in Poland fighting against Russia. He got very injured. He was almost near death. He knew he was near dying. He wrote out a will saying that he wanted to dedicate all of the money that was owed to him from America to freeing and educating as many slaves as possible. So it's just, that's how strongly he felt about that. I feel the other thing, you see a lot of posts and articles online and in magazines sort of talking about how the outdoors activities and hiking are sort of not, it's not as diverse as it could be. There's certain groups of people that there's maybe not enough of them in the mountains. I just feel like this is it's a great piece of American history that I feel like could maybe bring more people of all walks of life into the mountains that maybe normally wouldn't have tried that. Just knowing it's just a spectacular piece of history to tell. It's a story that's not told enough. And I just feel like New Hampshire, with these mountains right in a row, has a spectacular opportunity to tell that story. I just feel like it's a great opportunity for our state. And that's about all. Thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's
That
about
was excellent testimony and
Thank you, sir.
very informative information that really
you, sir.
helps us make a decision.
Thank
Did
you,
an
sir. I appreciate
Excellent
it.
job on it.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Right.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you for letting me ask a question. Thank you for coming. That was a
Thank you.
very
Thank you for having
interesting
me. Yes.
story.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just curious as to your background, like
yeah.
how you came to
Yes.
make this, present this.
Yeah,
with
thanks
us
for
today.
asking that. I'm a lifelong New Hampshire resident, and I've been hiking for a long time. I do this hike. So I've done this hike once a year, probably for the last 15 years. I've been up there just, dozens of times. It's one of the best hikes in the state, probably arguably one of the best hikes in the state. And I also, have Polish heritage, and I somewhat recently have been really, really getting into a lot of old history. And I love the Revolutionary War history. And obviously with, the Polish heritage, I'd obviously through the years heard of Kościuszko, but I somewhat recently really, really read his full story, multiple books, articles online, videos, really getting into his history and his story. And so I sort of put the two together when I'm so familiar with these mountains, just sort of I've been to these mountains, but I just sort of put the two together that, wait a minute, Mount Lafayette, Mount Lincoln, Mount Liberty, there's quotes about Kościuszko, like the purest son of liberty, Mount Liberty, and just his similarities to Lafayette. I just felt like it's like a bulb. It just feels like it's a perfect fit to me, and I also feel like it could bring more attention to even Lafayette, who, I think that there's probably a lot of people that are up there hiking that mountain that don't know how great of a character Lafayette was. And I feel like sort of changing this name, there's obviously going to be a lot of questions about it. And I just feel like it will, school more people on this spectacular American history about Kościuszko, but it also will hopefully cause more people to learn about Lafayette and what he did as well. Yeah. Thanks for the question though. Yes. Yeah.
So I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Follow up.
So I just was wondering, so you don't go through New Hampshire trying to rename stuff? This
No,
is
no.
like a one-time
No,
thing?
this is a one-time thing. And I forgot who, maybe this gentleman here, Representative Jones, how he mentioned about how there are multiple other, Kościuszko named, like the bridges, and there are counties, I think in Indiana, there's a lot of, there are some things named after him, but I just feel like it's just such a perfect fit. His name to me just historically fits with those three other. I just feel like it's made to be there, but no, I definitely, this is a first for me. As you can probably tell, this is totally a first for me. Very, very new, very new. Yes. Yes.
Excellent questions,
Thanks for the
Representative
question.
Bennett.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
Yeah.
Taking a look around.
HR House Resolution 24, simply to honor Thaddeus Kościuszko. That's the Polish general who came from Poland and helped us in the Revolutionary War, to rename Little Haystack Mountain in honor of Thaddeus Kościuszko. So I move OTP, and hopefully I can get a
Second.
second from Representative Gagny. And I will speak to my own motion, which I kind of just did. The testimony that I gave, but particularly the testimony from Zach Drasia, I thought was very interesting and compelling. And obviously I prime sponsored it to take a mountain that really doesn't have a name as he explained so well, up there with Lincoln and Lafayette, a way to remember some of our history and honor a Polish patriot. So I hope that we can vote for that. Representative Gagnon, you seconded it.
What it does for me is it just adds another name of all the people that helped us during the Revolutionary War. And I've climbed Little Haystack. Sometimes it's hand over hand back in the day. And it's a tough little hike to go up Little Haystack. And it'd be a good name for a tough Polish person that helped us out.
Well put. And I know, Representative Manahar, you've been up there. It is it's not an easy, if this passes, I hope the resolution passes. Ultimately, we need the federal delegation to help us, to get this through on the federal side, because it's in a federal national forest. If it ever does pass, I hope, and if we ever can change the name, which I hope we can, I hope to see all of you on the top of Mount Kosciuszko.
Not in the winter.
If we'll try to have a non-winter, but I'm making an assumption that it moves forward. It's a heavy lift. So when we're ready, Madam, if there's no other comments on Mount K, I'm sure we'll be called if it gets there. When you're ready, the motion is OTP on HR 24.
Representative Rollins.
Yes.
Representative Gagnon.
Yes.
Representative Mannion.
Yes.
Representative Belcher.
Yes.
Representative Bennett.
Yes.
Representative Hemingway.
Yes.
Representative Plant.
Yes.
Representative Seib. Representative Foss votes yes. Representative Manahar.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
14 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative.
Mr. Chair, I think I would like to see this one go to the floor and not consent.
I agree. I think with some resolutions that you do want to take a couple of minutes to get the full body to understand what it's about. Excellent point. Thank you.
Gain more support.
So that will not be on consent.
And if you're going to speak to it on the floor, I would gladly join you and co-speak with you.
Yes, we'll circle back to that. Yeah, let's do that. As long as we don't take 5 minutes apiece, we'll work on that. Thank you. So that will not be on consent. Moving right along. Thank you for your help.
Okay, so I hope you liked that testimony. It was a little long, but it was very interesting. And I just wanted to show something that was kind of a fun thing that we did work on in our committee. It wasn't like politically charged and, all kinds of debate and everything like some topics might be. So that's what I was really happy about, was that there are things that we could talk about, we could enjoy, we could learn about some history and have a fun conversation. I really enjoyed the hiker giving his thoughts on the issue. What do you think? Do you think we should rename Little Haystack, or should we keep it that way? I don't know. If you're a hiker and you're always going up the mountains, maybe you just really like the name Little Haystack and you don't want to give it up. Or maybe you like the story, the history behind the, oh man, what's his name? Thaddeus Kosciuszko, Mount K, I think they said it might be called. Fun. And I hope that we get to rename the mountain. I voted yes. I do want to rename the mountain because I think it's a great story. And I think I agree with the hiker and with Chair Moffat that it brings back some history and it might spark some people. Oh, why did we change that mountain? And then they'll go look it up and maybe they'll realize that it was a good fit for the name of the mountain. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again on this channel for more talk about things in the New Hampshire State House. See you next time. Because H.R. 24 is a simple House resolution, its passage in the New Hampshire House is the final legislative step. The resolution does not go to the Senate or the governor, but instead is formally sent out by the House clerk to the entities it is directed toward. Since the 2026 legislative session featured H.R. 24, which honored Thaddeus Kosciuszko and urged the state's congressional delegation to rename Little Haystack Mountain, the next steps are The clerk of the New Hampshire House prepares and sends copies of the adopted memorial to the state's congressional delegation in Washington, D.C. No further action in Concord will be made. This is the documented stance and request of the New Hampshire House of Representatives.